Skip it. Alright. I lost my unfortunate, beautiful arm that I would use normally to do this shit with, so now I have to get creative. Yeah. I tried. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on charge. Okay, cool. Boom. Boom. Ah! Oh, yeah, that's right. Shizzles. Eight.
I gotta take a piss, get my car in a couple of minutes.
Okay, doke. I realized there was actually a thing I totally forgot. Okay. So I totally accidentally derailed everything. There was one thing I had to help my dad with, and then I started to send in. He's like, "Okay, are you ready?" A couple minutes, and I'm like, "Oh." So I guess, or to keep this going, because I'm not stopping it now. So I think in order for this to continue going, I think we'll have to work something out. You derailer. I know I'm an awful person. All right, I'll
try and let's just get it down and I can go with the rest of it.
Indeed.
Later.
We'll at least have something in the background. It's an outside ordeal. So, God, fucking sound. I hate it. Whatever, I guess I'll have to turn this on. Ugh, Dios mío. Ah! What? What is going on even here? Oh my god, there's multiples playing right now still. What is going on? Okay, that was going intense. Whatever. Alright. Blech. Oh, here we go. Alright. I did save his battery for nothing, exactly. Alright, here we go. You get this. You know what? Yeah, I won't even add a filter. I know you hate him. If anyone happens to just peek in, you'll have to let them know I'm temporarily gone for a moment. But it should be only a quick second. I'm off screen, but we are attempting to cut down a fat branch. That is why I'm not over there. This is coming to be a really fucking tedious thing. It's frustrating. Ah, Dios mío. just gonna get it. I'll be back in soon. Finally. Oh my god. Okay. Whew. Had to exert some energy there. God damn. Ugh. Okay. Just had to pull a fat fucking branch down. So we're playing the piano? Nope. Ha! I know you're all. What are you doing in the chat, dog? What happened? But I don't know if you were able to hear any commotion, which I doubt it, but yeah. We just cut down a branch of our tree. In fact, I can show you what we were just doing. Fuck. You have fun over there, yonder? Yeah. You have fun? You have no fun, yeah? Yeah, there you go. That's what's happening. So, damn. Ooh. Alright, well, now we can at least finally chill and smoke. Alright. I'll turn this extra down, though. Because we don't need that. Whew! Alright, we need all this shit that we were going to talk about earlier. So, damn. Alright, well, stream got derailed. Literally right as it started. I'm pretty sure there were people who were coming in, but they all left. They're like, nothing's happening, no one's here, fuck this. So, whatever. It's no big deal. We got a fat tree. We knocked it down. I beckoned through the window a few times, like, I am still here. But, yeah. So, now, we can talk about some shit. So, damn. Alright, well, first I need to smoke after that. Nearly gone down here. But, yeah, I know there was some shit about, you know, these Trumpists that I wanted to get on and be like, you fucking crazy psychopaths. Oh my god, I have to, like, really, really maneuver some shit here. There we go. That's just a bunch of random people just chilling in that chat right there, but I don't care about that chat. I don't care about this stuff. Oh my god. Kyle Kalinske talks of Glenn Greenwald.
excited for the conversation that I'm about to have right now. I'm talking to lawyer, journalist, author, and co-founder of The Intercept, Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, thanks so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
It's great to be here. I haven't been called a lawyer, at least not first, in a really long time, so that's a little hurtful. But I'm so excited to be back on Secular Talk. It's been...
Hey, that's what's up, dog. Cool. This is something we can actually talk about a little bit. Oh, look at that beautiful smile on good old Kyle's face. He's like, oh, I'm talking to Glenn Greenwald. Ah. I actually do have one of Glenn Greenwald's books, No Place to Hide, which is about Edward Snowden, the deep state surveillance, and all that crazy shit. So it's good shit. It's some good shizzles. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, you guys got a little whole things going on over there. Oh, he has one of his medals adorned right there. This guy's like, that's cool shit going on right there. So yeah, I guess we could take a delve right into this first. But first, I had some eggnog around here. Because my name's Dr. Phil, and I need to make sure I got my eggnog. So, chatting in your chat, that's what I say I play. It's up to you now. My entertainment is done. Damn straight. Well, I'll have to go grab some eggnog really quick first before I begin, because you can never go wrong with some eggnog. But this time, it won't be like 15 fucking minutes. It'll be like a very short period of time. Let me get that smooth jazz going on and shit back. So at least we have that going on, so it's not too boring while I'm gone momentarily. I caught a little bandit. Oh. Yeah. He's not enjoying this at all. Okay, I'm putting him down. But hey, we're back now. Got my nog. Got a cat who probably will not be here at all. He'll probably be wanting to depart here in a moment. It's gonna be difficult to sit with this cat here. Oh, he just pops his head out. I was like, what's up? He's just like, what's up now? Hey. Aw, he took over. He's just like, what do we do here? For my next selection, folks, we're going to play Kiss Classic, Wanna Rock and Roll. Poor baby. Oh, nah, he's fine. Look at him. He stands ever so proudly. Alright, well, back to muting that. But I will continue to give him very elegant caressing and love, because he really just, look, you see, he's like, slow, he like rubs his head a little bit on me. Like, he's enjoying everything.
2 years that I've been waiting for an invitation to...
But anyway, Oh, I'm actually surprised he's just chilling. Oh, hey, buddy. You're really you're kind of in the way. Yeah, just a little bit. Like you could be here, but you have to like lay down and like be below the either that or you'll have to like sit over here. I mean, you're just kind of here, and it's obstructing not only my view because only my eyes and some of my nose is being revealed. Okay, there we go. But it's just there you go. Yeah, just like that. There you go. Oh, there we go. Yeah. See, ain't that perfect? That's perfect spot right there for you. Yeah, yeah. Just gotta squeeze your little head down there. Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Perfect. Now I could just like pet you right here, and all's good. All's good. All right. Well. Oh, another visitor. Welcome. I was gone for like 15 minutes because I had to cut down a tree, so that was fun. I kind of showed a little bit of that, but that's already done over with now. And now I got some eggnog and stuff. Just found out Kyle Kalinske was in with Glenn Greenwald. Had a little interview. Excuse me, dude. Didn't we just agree to our consensus here, or were you just like temporary with that? Okay, whatever. But yeah, so we're gonna get right into it now. This is just literally uploaded like what? Oh, like an hour ago. All right, cool. So an hour ago it was uploaded. Oh, he's gone. Whatever. He didn't love me anyway. No, you just want out now. You're like, get me out. You just irritated me for a bit. There you go. Don't let the door kick you in the ass. Just stands halfway out, just like, do I leave or do I not? He's a goofball, but I love that cat. He's a sweetheart. Anyway, so now we're delving right into it. Jeez. But anyway, so from what looks of it, it looks like it's going to be on Bolsonaro's election in Brazilian politics. So I'm thinking that we'll learn some shit today. I'm not going to probably go through this entire thing, but there's a part 2, and I think I'll probably go on that as well. It's a very shorter version, so I probably might listen to all of that. So I'll put it at 1.25 speed, so it's not like absurdly fast, but we can at least not have it super slow. So yeah.
I'm back, but I'm going to overlook that in my excitement and happiness.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and I would
Volume
literally
levels?
talk to you for like 3 or 4 hours if I could, but let's focus
Right.
on the really big news that just happened. So I don't know much about Brazilian politics. I know pretty much what I read in The Intercept, and that's it. I consider you somewhat of an expert on Brazilian politics. I mean, you live in Brazil.
And so for me personally, I also do not know anything about Brazilian politics. Besides that, like, literally, Bolsonaro is pretty much like the equivalent to an open fascist. So it's just like, well, shit. We got ourselves a problem. But, other than that, what do I know? So, considering that Glenn Greenwald is living in Brazil, it sounds like. I actually didn't know that either. We might actually get some insight. So it'll be kind of cool to hear a little bit about what Glenn will have to say. So I'm looking forward to it.
And I always see you tweeting about it. It kind of hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday with the election. Apparently, a guy who some people are describing as a fascist got elected. So what I want to do is talk to you about, number one, do you really consider him a fascist? And number two, how did we get to this point?
All right, so before we get into Glenn Greenwald's point, Trump called him up and congratulated him for winning. I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised, though, because, I mean, if I remember right, and I'm sure I'll probably either be corrected or confirmed with, well, they're probably actually outside, but hold on, I'll let her know where they're at really quick before we get into this point. Oh my goodness, Dios mío. When the men go out and do their work and shit, yeah.
Can you get Robert Scott? I got him on the phone.
Alright, I'm doing my school stuff.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, tell him that
I
I'm
know.
talking to him because Carol wanted me. I sent Scott on interview with Amazon today. Yeah. You know what? Why? I'm getting him right now, Carol, hold on. Yeah, can you get your gas, can you come by? After you get your gas, can you come by? Yeah. I'm getting them, I'm in my bedroom, and I think you're out in the garage, Andrew, would you go get them? Your park right in front of what?
Oh my Jesus, Jesus, Jesus Christ. All right, well. I almost fell out of my seat. Anyway. Now, let's get into Glenn Greenwald's point. Jesus fuck. I hope this is the last interruption. Jesus. Man, maybe I should have waited a little longer. God damn.
So just to put things in context about why this whole discussion matters, there are two reasons. One is that Brazil is actually the fifth most populous country on the planet, the world's fourth largest democracy, the seventh largest economy. It's the biggest country
Back
in
too
all Latin
soon.
America,
Exactly.
and it has major oil reserves, so it has incredible geopolitical significance, and also it's just a huge and influential country, both regionally and globally. And politics is just generally global these days, and so very little that happens is confined to the borders of any one country. I personally use the term fascist very sparingly. I don't, for example, use it for Donald Trump, even though I think he has some fascist tendencies or parts of his mentality are inclined toward a kind of fascist ethos. In terms of his ideology and what he has done and what he is able to do, I would be very reluctant to apply that word to him, but I most certainly apply it to Jair Bolsonaro, and I think that who's now the president-elect of that very large and influential country I was just describing. And I think part of the problem has been that the Western media is able to understand, especially the American media, other countries, especially complicated ones that they don't spend much time focusing on, like Brazil, through a very self-absorbed lens. And so this idea that Bolsonaro is Brazil's Trump or the Trump of the tropics, two cliches that have become popularized over the past several months to try and understand him, are wildly inaccurate. He's much more like, say, the Philippines president Rodrigo Duterte, and probably even more extreme than him. I think the best current model, would be the Egyptian dictator General Sisi. He comes out of this kind of lineage that Trump, Marine Le Pen, Nigel Farage, other like modern alt-right leaders don't come from, which is the 1960s and 1970s Cold War, the idea that you commit atrocities in the name of fighting communism. That's still Bolsonaro's view of the world, that that's the number one threat to Brazil. And he was part of a military dictatorship that lasted until 1985. He views that military dictatorship, which summarily executed critics, detained dissidents, closed media outlets, used torture systematically, was supported by the US and the UK, as the superior model of government to democracy, and has said that repeatedly, that he wants to bring Brazil back to that period, that really dark period in its recent history of the military dictatorship.
Oh, God. That is bad. That's really, 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 really bad. Your second, Stefan. Sorry, Raspberry. But, oh my God. That's just sad. Sad. It's a big failure. A tremendous failure. I'm Trump. I can make incorrect grammatical errors and be okay with it because I am the most grammatically correct. Believe me, tremendous. But oh my God, this is bad. Like the fact that Brazil has this type of guy elected now it's scary. I can't imagine what would begin to happen in Brazilian politics now, but I mean, we're about to get into it a little bit, so I'll be able to offer more insight. But I mean, I do agree with Glenn Greenwald's point. He mentioned earlier that about fascism in that as like a label, and how it shouldn't, like, he uses it sparingly, and I tend to agree with that. Like, I wouldn't call Trump a fascist, but I would say that he has fascist tendencies, and kind of like how I would say when he isn't really a racist, but more racially insensitive, but which that also can bolster his partially racist base. Like, I mean, or mostly racist. I mean, so I mean, it's spot like I use terms like that sparingly. So for someone like Bolsonaro, though, it sounds like you can probably just outright call him a fascist. He wants to instill a militaristic dictatorship. He wants to be the sole absolute power in government. He wants to literally shut down Congress. Advocates for torture. Advocates for killing his political adversaries. It's Trump 2.0. It's not even that, dude. Trump is an authoritarian, not a fascist. I agree with that, but I don't think the Bolsonaro is a Trump 2.0. He's worse than that. Like he's kind of like teetering near the like legitimate like you know he's kind of fallen in love with that Mussolini identity a little bit. I mean, which is terrifying. Like if that were to happen, what president would be set for a militaristic dictatorship? What are they going to do? Like, they're going to probably advocate for expansionism in some way. So, what's going to happen with all of Latin America, like in entirety? Like, what are their neighbors? Does Brazil have a strong or weak presidential system? I don't know, to be fair, but given my knowledge, it seems like they have the president has some from what I can get, and this is just my own quick little speculation with what I do know. So don't take it as like my actual solid opinion right now, but or like actual fact. But I think the president of Brazil has somewhat strong powers, but from the claim that Bolsonaro makes is that Congress essentially just lets the president do what they want, and his claim is shutting down Congress to just allow that loophole to be closed essentially. So the dude just is like. I mean, while his argument is absolutely terrible and fucking fucked, but if his claim actually has any merit, which I doubt it does in any sense of the word, then I would say that it probably does, but I really don't know. But I think we'll be able to find out a little bit, maybe. I'm not really too sure. I'm just watching this for the first time as we are, so I'm just kind of giving my insight and input as we go along. So, yeah, I mean, let's continue along with it, shall we?
Would you say that Brazilian institutions are strong enough to withstand like a total authoritarian takeover? And I want to refer to a few quotes of Bolsonaro. He said in 1993, quote, "I am in favor of a dictatorship." When he was asked in 1999, if you were the president of the republic today, would you close the National Congress? He responded, "There's no doubt about it. I do a coup on the same day. The Congress doesn't work, and I'm sure at least 90% of the population with their own party would applaud."
I was just mentioning that.
Congress today is good for nothing, brother. It just votes for what the president wants. If he is the person who decides, who rules, who trumps the Congress, then let's have a coup quickly and go straight to dictatorship. So I guess
that was one of his quotes. So I mean, there is merit to like this. It's probably calling this guy a fascist. So I mean, and definitely a very absolute authoritarian. Like you can definitely tell he is. Like there's just no beating around the bush with that. He's an authoritarian through and through. Period. Don't even try to. Like he actually even said that he would rather have his son die than be gay. Like he's beyond like let's do conversion therapy. He's like we're gonna just kill you. It's just like wow, you sound like Ben Salman there when it comes to LGBTQ rights. There, it's like execute the gays. Wow, how progressive of you. To answer my own question, Brazil's system is literally based off the U.S. Oh, well, okay, well, there you go. Trump looks at all the brown-skinned people in South America's future waiter and waitress staff flows from his wage system. Or his farm pickers, how you want to put it. But anyway, let's see what Glenn will continue on to say here.
Is how much of this, looking back at it, do you think that that's a little bit hyperbolic and that he'll actually do that, or do you think it's possible that the Brazilian institutions withstand an authoritarian takeover and that Bolsonaro, even though he'll likely be horrendous, he won't actually become a dictator?
So, and then just to be clear, that those series of comments that you read, he's been saying the same thing, even throughout the campaign. The last speech that he gave before the vote on Sunday, which he delivered by cell phone because he was almost fatally stabbed the month before, and so hasn't been able to travel, was one in which he vowed to cleanse the country of what he called the red bandits, by which he means the Brazilian left, and said that Brazil will have a cleansing unlike any seen in its history, and that the only choices for those who refuse to submit to his rule will be prison, death, or exile. So he's been.
That's terrifying. That's straight up like some Mussolini shit right there. That's like just some straight up like outright fascist shit. Like, goddamn.
Been very consistent in his ideology through the years. The question that you asked, I think, is the most important one, and the one that everyone here in Brazil is asking, and it's the main reason why I really reject and resist this comparison to Trump, because even if you want to believe that Trump deep in his heart is like Sisi, Duterte, or Bolsonaro, or whatever, the reality is that American democracy is 230 years old. There's all kinds of very powerful and established institutions that have been much more vibrant than probably ever before in pushing back against him, whether it be the media, the judiciary that has repeatedly declared acts of his unconstitutional, and probably most importantly and impressively of all, citizen protest. In Brazil, that's the opposite. Brazil is a democracy that's only 33 years old, so it's, I don't know how old you are, but it's like your age.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, very close to my age too. So, it's a very young democracy. Roughly.
All right. Well, before we get into this point, Stefan made a point here I want to talk about really quick. So he practically has all the same powers that Trump currently has. He needs the military to install fascism, though. Does the military support him enough to revolt against the country's military constitution? Country's constitution? I don't know. Again, I don't know what the overall military stance is on Bolsonaro, but I really don't know, to be fair. So, well, maybe we'll get some insight on this, and maybe we might branch into it a little bit with what we're about to talk about here on citizens protest. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of an idea, maybe to see what the military / like police forces and institutions have in either in favor or not in favor of Bolsonaro's policies. So I guess we'll find out here a little bit, or at least kind of get an idea. May be literally based off the U.S. system, but after a few years of him in office, you won't recognize it. It's true. Maybe so.
Half of the public was actually born into a military dictatorship, and a lot of the people of Bolsonaro's generation were part of it. And so not only are Brazilian institutions very young and therefore very fragile, we don't have generation upon generation upon generation being inculcated with democratic values. People are remembering 40 years ago, and they're saying, I wasn't a dissident, I wasn't tortured, I wasn't killed. It seems like that would be better. On top of everything else, we have a convergence of extremely grave crises. An economic crisis that originated from the 2008 financial collapse and has caused Brazil's worst recession in history, 13 million people unemployed. You have a massive corruption scandal where almost every leading party and members of the billionaire class have been hauled off to prison or indicted, not for kind of isolated corruption, like I'll give you $100,000 if you vote for this bill, but systemic corruption. I have $15 million in a Swiss bank account because I caused these contracts to go to these oligarchs. So you have a complete collapse in the fate of the institutions to handle the economy, and it's destroyed people's economic future and the credibility and legitimacy of the institution because of the corruption scandal. And then you also have a massive epidemic of violent crime. 60,000 people a year or last year were murdered in Brazil. And just to give you a statistic, if you're a Rio de Janeiro City police officer, the chances that you're likely to die tomorrow are higher than the chances were that a U.S. soldier would be killed at the peak of the violence in the Iraq War. So wow. We have a convergence of...
Wow, that's actually kind of shocking. Holy fuck. Wow. That's actually pretty stunning. Holy shit. Like, you were more likely to die in Brazil than due to the violence than at the height of the violence of the Iraq War. Like, if you're an American soldier, like, holy shit. Like, damn. Wow. I didn't realize how bad Brazil's been having it, really. Like, I knew Brazil's had, like, really bad systemic corruption. I knew there's been, like, series of mass violence in its time, but I didn't, like, realize how bad it really truly was, and, like, how like how like how new its democracy is essentially. Like it doesn't really. It's always been for a while like a military dictatorship, and now they're just coming out of it. And now they're about to just like revert right back and go to the old ways, and it's just like, oh my god, that's terrifying. It's
Crises
just
mode.
that really is like a not really is not good. Like there should, we need to those institutions need to continue to prosper and shit, and be fleshed out. So most of the mass violence is in Rio de Janeiro. I'm sure I'm sure it's not all of Brazil, but I mean, just to know that this type of violence and this type of things are happening within Brazil is just shocking, because I mean, kind of puts into perspective of like how bad it is in some places within Brazil and how bad that the systemic corruption and how bad the system must be for that type of thing to be going on, essentially. If you watch next to attack on other branches of government, the rest of newspaper is being consolidate power, military being last piece. Yeah, I feel like you might be right on that. I don't know how spot on or how accurate that. I mean, the way you're describing it, but within the next few months, we might be hearing some more reports of him consolidating more power, just day by day, week by week, and eventually he will just, revert everything back, into a new, like fleshed out dictatorship of some sort. That's just it's a terrifying thought. Because in other places of Brazil, they're just worried about a day-to-day living, essentially.
Along those lines, those institutions become decimated because they're plagued with all kinds of dysfunction and corruption. The public has completely turned their backs on them. And so the only institution that has any kind of popularity, which is very dangerous, and actually in the US, you see this starting to happen as well, is the military. That's the only institution that people really trust. For a while, the military was kind of embarrassed by Bolsonaro because they were trying to shed the stain of the military dictatorship and be rehabilitated as a force that defends the Constitution and democracy. But this year, the top level of the military and all of the lower ranks more or less consolidated in unison behind him. And so they're.
So to answer your question, Stefan, it sounds like yes. The military does have Bolsonaro has the backing of the military. Sounds like it. He just, from what Glenn Greenwald just stated. So, yeah, it seems like he could it seems like the capability of him to actually potentially do this is very much likely, and that's just even worse. Like to have complicity, to go within it. Look at Maduro of Venezuela, Erdogan in Turkey, or Duda in Portland, or Duterte in the Philippines, or Trump in the U.S. Or I was gonna, or fucking yeah, I mean, just like it's getting bad. I mean, it's just fucked.
Really the only institution, the only faction that has the power to impose limits on his worst nightmare scenarios, and whether they are sufficiently instilled with the idea that their patriotic duty is to defend the Constitution and democracy still, or whether they've kind of been converted with a lot of the rest of the population to the idea that Brazil's societal problems are so grave that you need military order and rule, which is what led to the first military coup in 1964. Remains to be seen. Nobody knows how the military, what their posture will be. And for now, Bolsonaro has a massive democratic mandate. He has a huge part of the population behind him. His party or his movement, aligned with his ideology, took over major parts of Congress, state houses, politics all up and down the political spectrum. So he doesn't really need at the moment to abandon the pillars of democracy to institute a lot of his more extremist visions because he has so much popular support for it, because the population has just turned its back on the ruling class, largely for good reason.
So let's talk a little bit about the Amazon. I've read in the wake of his victory that he plans to basically do a lot of privatization and basically open up the Amazon to Western developers. Is that true? And how devastating would that be for, say, the climate?
Well, let's just say it is true. Which, knowing Bolsonaro, it probably is. I would argue that, well, shit, that's like the worst case scenario that could possibly happen, especially for the environment, especially for what climate change is going on right now, especially with how big of a detriment it is to how severe climate change is going on at the very moment. That's just like the worst case scenario that we could possibly be doing to ourselves, is just Let's just cut down the Amazon and privatize it and turn it into strip malls or some shit. It's, it's just like, oh god. I was worried some that this is the issue worldwide. Could be caused only in the Third World War. It's years in the future. Maybe so. God damn, this hit me right in the eyes. Ooh.
It's absolutely true. Bolsonaro did something really shrewd, which is, aside from the military, obviously a faction that wields a lot of power in Brazil is the plutocratic class. And they've always been extremely wary of Bolsonaro because he's kind of like a Donald Trump figure, but even more on the fringes of the mainstream. And so what he did was, about 6 months ago, he said, look, I don't know anything about economic and industrial policy. I'm a captain in the army. I know about public security. I know how to keep law and order. I know about foreign policy, and I know about social issues because I'm a man of God on my third marriage with kids with each of my increasingly younger wives. So that's what he said he knows. He said, I don't know anything about economic or industrial policy. So we hired an economic guru. He said
Family
he
values,
to be kind of a
man.
super minister of the economy named Paulo Guedes. And Paulo Guedes is this kind of caricature from what was called the University of Chicago School, or the Chicago Boys that privatized all of South America during the Cold War, that sold off all the natural resources of Chile under Pinochet, who Bolsonaro explicitly admires. And the markets ever since have loved Bolsonaro. Every time a new poll comes out showing Bolsonaro increasing his lead, this Brazilian stock market would explode, the Brazilian real would get stronger. And in the wake of his victory, even like the CBC, the state-owned and run media outlet in Canada, was running headlines, multiple ones, saying things like, well, Bolsonaro is a homophobic, racist, misogynist, and many believe he's a fascist, but what opportunities does this open up for Canadian investors or Canadian mining and logging interests? So one of Paulo Guedes is sort of like the wet dream of international capital and the plutocratic class. He wants to privatize everything. And Brazil has an immense amount of natural resources and state-owned industries that have funded the minimal social programs that they have. And they're going to have a privatization party, where they're going to strip everything out of the public treasury and sell it off to China, to US oligarchs, to Germans, to anybody who essentially wants to buy it. There's going to be massive graft as part of it. And you're absolutely right. One of the main natural resources of Brazil, on which climate stability depends globally, is the Amazon. For a long time, Brazil was one of the stalwart protectors of the environment, of the Amazon, but there's been rapid deforestation in the Amazon, and that absolutely is going to accelerate. And just today, Bolsonaro announced that he was going to consolidate the Ministry of the Economy, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Environment all into one super ministry, which Paulo Guedes is going to run. So they're putting the entire industrial and economic policy under his authority. And he's as much of an extremist as Bolsonaro, just not quite as shocking because he's a University of Chicago trained economist and therefore has these kind of mainstream credentials. But that's why fascism is really the right word, because you have the three pillars of it: kind of militaristic law and order, evangelical religious fanaticism, and this appeal to patriotism as part of it, this unified nation, and then the merger of corporate and industrial policy with this political agenda. It's kind of a classic case of academic fascism, what you study in graduate programs that fascism means, but also fascism in its more colloquial ethos.
Okay, so
damn, there was just a lot to just soak in right there. Just a lot of just holy shit to soak in. Not directly all those countries I have listed have really, really good militaries. I think the big issues are China and Russia. Well, he did mention China, at least for a brief moment, about how Bolsonaro and his administration will sell to any investor, essentially, Chinese, U.S. oligarchical, whoever who's willing to invest in the privatization efforts of essentially their whole country, basically. Privatize the entire fucking country. China and Russia could use one of these dictators as a front or excuse while keeping their hands clean. More proxy wars. In a way, I mean, it could be seen as more a continuation of proxy wars, essentially. I mean, I could see more of Trump probably aligning with Bolsonaro in a proxy war in this event, but I mean, I'm not too sure. I really don't even know what the fuck will happen with Brazil in all entirely. The thing is, I don't think any of them are especially good terms of Russia or China, except possibly Bolsonaro. I really don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know too much about Brazilian politics, so I'm just kind of learning as I'm going right now, along with Glenn here. So it's I mean, a lot of it is definitely very shocking information. Like to know that essentially, like what Bolsonaro is doing essentially is establishing the three core pillars of what fascism is based off of, which is a religious evangelicalism or religious fanaticism, a very strong militaristic law and order with a strong sense of patriotism and a privatization and corporatization of the entire system and government. I mean, that's essentially what all it's been happening is the establishment of those three core pillars. Philippines is on bad terms with China. Poland and Turkey are on bad terms with Russia. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Turkey and Russia have always been on bad terms, and Poland and Russia have been on fairly bad terms. Besides the Warsaw Pact era, but I mean, it's and also like with Philippines and China, Venezuela is pretty isolated. Oh yeah, I could definitely see a lot of militaristic acts happening with that. Maybe with Bolsonaro's regime in Venezuela to do like some sort of intervention into Venezuela with between like Brazil and Venezuela, but I really am not too sure. I don't know what will happen in the wake of this happening. I really don't. I mean, anything could go. I mean, I don't know, but I guess we'll listen to this next question here, and then we'll move on to some different topics. We'll move on to different topics because I don't want to just go on entirely on Bolsonaro here. Not the
I
entire
have a lot
time.
to say about that. That's all right. Let's talk a little bit about Bolsonaro's opponent, Haddad, and then also let's touch on the former president in Brazil, Lula. Now, I'm going to tell you
Okay.
my understanding of it, which is unquestionably incorrect, and then you can, correct everything for me. Now, my
I could
understanding.
talk to you for all of your errors.
That's right. Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to take the mockery.
Okay.
All right. So my understanding is that Lula, so he was the head of the Workers' Party. He was president of Brazil, and my understanding is that he was relatively social democratic. Am I good so far?
You mean you're trying to place the Workers' Party on a kind of familiar ideological spectrum?
Yes.
So let me just then interject there because it's a really important part of whatever you're going to ask. And I think it's a really important thing to recognize. So the Workers' Party was created as a real left-wing party. Lula himself came from extreme poverty. He was illiterate until he was 10. He was a labor leader. He lost a finger working in a factory because of terrible labor conditions. So he was kind of the real deal as far as being a radical left-wing labor activist. He led strikes. He went to prison for a short time under the military dictatorship. He ran for president 3 times in that carnation and lost 3 times. So in 2002, he said, I'm going to kind of do what Bill Clinton did. I'm going to remake the Workers' Party as a more moderate, business-friendly party. He chose as his vice presidential running mate a very kind of establishment-friendly, pro-banker, longtime financier to reassure international capital markets and Brazil's financial class that PT, the Workers' Party, was going to be a business-friendly party. And then he wrote this famous letter to the Brazilian people in 2002 in which he said, I want you to know I'm not the radical Lula that I once was. I've matured. I realize now that we all need to work together. Business can't be our enemy. We need to all grow together. And so that was very much the ruling ethos of the Workers' Party under first Lula and then under his handpicked successor, Dilma Rousseff, who was even more radical than Lula in her youth. She was a Marxist guerrilla imprisoned and tortured by the military dictatorship for taking up arms against it. But by the time she became president, she was a very technocratic, moderate. And so while it's true that they did some social programs that helped people come out of poverty, a lot of people come out of poverty, they were also being funded by all of the oligarchs and banks and the plutocratic class that ended up swept up in this corruption scandal that had been funding the party. Those rich people did even better under the Workers' Party than they did previously. And so while they lifted a lot of people out of poverty, barely, they also made sure that the rich prospered just as much. So you can kind of analogize it to the Democratic Party in the US and be a little careful about making that comparison too much because it doesn't translate fully, but it's in broad strokes, it's accurate.
Okay, and Lula was brought down by a corruption scandal, and I'm unsure as to how real that is because I've heard comparisons where they say, well, like Bernie Sanders' wife has been accused of being involved with corruption with some college or something, and it seems kind of like a mucked up thing. How real is the corruption scandal against Lula? Is it real, or is it something that was used politically by the right and weaponized to bring him down?
That's kind of an interesting question to that point, because seeing some of the basic facts of the corruption, or at least kind of some of the what Lula was doing. It seems like there is a case to be made that there could be a potential corruption, but was there actually like a legitimate case though? And that I guess we'll be able to find out here. The problem with some of these governments is that they're willing to accept turn a blind eye on everything. It's just a master chessboard. Oh yeah. Oh, to this point, if you can remove Iran, I might turn a blind eye to that. I mean, I'm against any military interventionism, so I'll be against it. Period, regardless. Like if seen as a bad guy or not, like I would be totally against it. Like fucking the wars. Like fuck the wars. Look at 3 or 4 moves ahead and we'll accept things to get there. Yeah. There's a term for that. It's called what's it called? Fuck, I'm blinking on it. Whatever.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it's exactly either of those things. So on the one hand, Lula has presided over a political system that is systemically and fundamentally corrupt. And that's true of his party and the political system over which he presided. So there's a lot of serious corruption allegations against Lula that have yet to be tried in court, and therefore he's entitled to the presumption of innocence. There's probably 5 or 6 of them that allege major, high-level, full-scale corruption. There's been this one tiny little nitpicky case that nobody ever took seriously that is really simple. It simply alleges that a construction company deeded a triplex apartment to Lula in exchange for favors that he did for them. So it's just like a very, unlike these complicated, difficult, broad corruption cases that people take seriously, this one's a really simple, clear transaction. This is the one they chose to prosecute first. And the reason is that all polls showed that Lula was likely to win the presidential race this year if he had run again, which he was going to do. And under Brazilian law, if somebody is convicted of a crime and then that conviction is upheld on appeal, so you have 2 instances where a court has said the person is guilty, they're automatically barred from running for any political office. So they rushed to make sure that Lula was convicted as quickly as possible of this extremely dubious case. There's no deed in his name, for example, that he was even the owner of the apartment. He never lived in this apartment. It's kind of a shitty triplex. They call it a triplex all the time to make it seem glamorous. It does have 3 floors, but it's very kind of dreary. Lula got very rich because when he left office, he was of the stature of Obama or Tony Blair, like a very well-regarded by the mainstream political leader who did a speaking circuit. He made millions of dollars. He could have bought that triplex 20 times over. So that case is extremely dubious, and the way in which they prosecuted it so fast reeked of political motives, namely a desire to make sure he couldn't run because of the fear that he would win if he did. So if you ask me in a theological sense, is Lula corrupt? I can't tell you yes or no because the really serious allegations have yet to be trusted in court. The case for which he was actually in prison, in which he's now in prison and has been given a 12-year sentence, and his hope for a pardon just disappeared with the election outcome, which means he's likely to rot in prison, as Bolsonaro called it, for the next 4 years at least, is very, very, very dubious. I would go so far as to say illegitimate because it was clearly politically motivated without much evidence and designed to bar him from running.
Damn. Well, kind of missed that last little point there, but I mean, wow. So it seems like it was just more of like a politically motivated attempt to just not get him to run again, essentially. Which, geez, that's just like a really that's just fucked up. Like that, I would say that it's a little bit like on par with like the primary rigging in 2016. Like, because, I mean, you're essentially trying to bar someone for DNC's case, you would be barring for someone becoming a nominee, but in this case, you're just barring for someone from just running entirely and to have a chance to become president, which was essentially the same motive for the primary in 2016 between Bernie and Hillary. So, I mean, it's just a whole fucked up, like politically motivated attempt to just not get him to run again. So, in a sense, it was corrupt, just maybe not in the sense that it was like corrupt to maybe in Lula's case because it hasn't even been tried in court at all. Like it was just done via one dubious little case that I think Glenn said it wasn't even really in his name, but the title of the building that was mentioned. So it's just like it definitely was a fabricated attempt to thwart his attempts to become president or be reelected. Politics is dirty business. Damn straight it is. It's just fucking dirty.
So,
you gotta play dirty to win it.
Is it true that Lula, despite everything you just ran through there, that he was the most liked politician in Brazil?
What was true. I mean, Lula's presidency was actually a miracle. So under his presidency, tens of millions of people were lifted out of poverty. They instituted a new social program that was innovated and hailed by economists across the spectrum all over the world called Bolsa Familia, where it was in some senses like a welfare program to keep people out of poverty, but in order to receive the payment, they had to provide certification that their children were attending schools, were getting vaccines, a whole kind of list of things that the government wanted parents to do in order to take care of their children, make sure the children were getting an education and the like. And so it was kind of considered innovative.
I'm actually not really against that.
It lifted a lot of people out of poverty. They funded scholarships for colleges and universities so that poor people who never previously had any chance of going to school or to school after high school were able to do so. They got the World Cup and the Olympics both in Rio de Janeiro because it was a sign that Brazil was experiencing this amazing economic growth and was kind of a miracle finally fulfilling its potential. They were finding huge oil reserves. There was this like incredible nationalistic sense that Brazil had finally arrived. So when Lula left office in 2010, he had an 86% approval rating. 86%. He was by far the most popular world leader. When Barack Obama came to Brazil to meet with Lula, he said, I don't know what your magic is, but this is the guy who has figured it all out, which is true. I mean, Lula was a giant as a statesman and was beloved by enormous numbers of people. And then it just all kind of fell apart. The economy went into the toilet under his handpicked successor. The corruption scandal convinced a lot of former supporters that he was dirty and corrupt. And then it ultimately led to his imprisonment. As all the wheels came off the cart, his handpicked successor ultimately got impeached in 2016 under very dubious circumstances as well. So there was an effort to destroy PT by the elite of this country that had tried for so long to do it and couldn't. They finally were able to opportunistically exploit the crises. And in order to do that, they had to dismantle the reputation of Lula. So by the time 2018 came and he was ready to run, even though he was sort of leading in the polls, he was doing that as a drastically reduced figure, not even close to the stature that he had previously enjoyed.
Is it your opinion?
Interesting. So he did kind of have like a rise and fall, essentially, Lula did. So, like, there was one point he had a peak of 86% of approval rating, and that's fucking good for a politician in any circumstance. So, I mean, I don't really know much about his politics, but besides that, he seems like he initially was more leftist, but then came out more, moderated and became more social democratic. So, I mean, here we go. Kyle pounding his meat vigorously and menacingly. Funny enough, his camera is actually the one that's still, like, Glenn Greenwald is the one who's, like, having his camera move up and down like this much. So I think, if anything, Glenn Greenwald is pounding his meat vigorously and menacingly. Kyle's forcefully tore open the assholes and counts of his fellow high school students. His father powers protected him. Whoa. Wrecked. His father, Big Seltzer, protected him with his great powers. And still, no legs.
Because I was seeing this on Twitter after Bolsonaro's victory. Is it your opinion that Lula would have beaten Bolsonaro?
It's the would Bernie have won question, right? So
it is an element
to
that question.
Yeah, where you can form opinions based on speculation, but you'll never fully know,
Well,
right? So
I have strong opinions on the Bernie one. I think I know.
I think your YouTube comments are going to fill up with anger at me for suggesting that the answer to that question is anything other than 100% certain. I certainly believe that Bernie would have won, and I wrote in May, March of 2016 that the Democrats were taking a huge gamble with Trump looming by choosing the candidate who was most likely to lose to him instead of the one that was most likely to beat him. And it's really weird because Democrats ignored that advice, and now we're angry at the people who gave that advice. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. I think there's an argument. I mean, certainly the polling data showed, if you up until 3 or 4 months ago, when polls were still being taken on Lula before he was barred, if there's a runoff system in Brazil. So if one candidate in the first round fails to get 50%, like in France, the top 2 candidates go to a runoff. So the polls showed that Bolsonaro and Lula would make the runoff, and the polls, when you ask them who would you vote for, Lula or Bolsonaro, Lula had something like a 15 to 20 point lead, like 54 to 36, something like that.
That's a pretty big lead.
It's a big lead, but at the same time, Bolsonaro skyrocketed in the polls from that moment, and a lot of early polling is often inaccurate. I think that this was just a convergence of opportunities, and the moment came where the population had enough.
Yeah,
it wasn't just Bolsonaro, but it was just Haddad who lost. Any politician, even previously popular ones, who were just too associated with the old kind of politics, got destroyed, even if it meant putting into office people that nobody had ever heard of.
Yes.
Hold on, before we get to Glenn Greenwald's point here, what is going on in here? Cunts. His dad owns a dealership. All right. Jimmy Whisper, aka the potential stench. What is going on in here? What be is happening? Thy liege has spotted revolt. Is that a monkey I have held? Yes, sir. Well, okay then, sir. But to Gwenwald's point, it seems like that it's kind of just more or less essentially just mere speculation. What else Naro would have lost to Lula essentially if he were able to run. And I don't know. I mean, it seems like there is a case to be made where he probably could potentially have ran. But I have no idea. I mean, it seems like to me, I feel like he had a chance to possibly win, and I think he could have. But, you know, it is just kind of a speculation at this point. It's kind of a mute argument now at this point. So, what can you do? Monkey don't see. Blind monkey.
See, Bernie was not the status quo, whereas based off everything we've spoken about to this point, even though he may have been good in some ways and maybe not so good in others, Lula was the status quo, whereas Bernie was not. So it's not totally analogous. Lula would have won to Bernie would have won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You see?
Right, to me, right, no, exactly. To me, it's analogous only in the limited sense that it's a counterfactual, and
Right.
counterfactuals
Sure.
by their nature are inherently uncertain. That's the only way in which they're analogous. But I think you're exactly right, is that, and Steve Bannon himself said this, when you have this kind of outsider, you know, anti-establishment demagogue like Trump, the thing that they hope and pray for more than anything is that they run against an embodiment of the ruling class
Yes.
and the status quo. And that was what Hillary Clinton was,
Yep.
and that was what Bernie
Mobile
Sanders
everything.
wasn't. And you look
Oh
at
my
Brazil,
god. Wow. Mobile really wrecked you there for a minute. God damn.
Even though Lula was popular, it wasn't Lula on the ballot. There was a left-wing candidate who probably could have beaten Bolsonaro, but Lula, and he deserves a lot of blame for this from prison, couldn't give up control of the left. He insisted on choosing his candidate that he would control, a little-known
Haddad.
one-term mayor from St. Paulo, Haddad. Even though anti-PT sentiment was so high because anti-status quo sentiment was so high, and it's exactly what you just said, PT, because it's been running the country since 2002, at the exception of the last few years, is the status quo. It is the ruling class for millions of people. And so, you know, I think you're exactly right that kind of not just anti-PT vote and anti-left-wing vote, but just anti-establishment vote manifested in a rejection of PT, similar to how it manifested in a rejection of Hillary Clinton.
So was Haddad similar? Was he a very centrist, pro-status quo kind of candidate? But putting aside the fact that he's literally representing that party that is the status quo, did he come across as Clinton-esque, as in very pro-establishment and very centrist?
I mean, it's hard. The reality is that PT maintained this fraud for so long that Lula was going to be the candidate, well after everyone knew that it wasn't going to happen. And it was only once the court ruled that Lula couldn't run did he then handpick Haddad. So Haddad was only a candidate formally for about 6 to 8 weeks.
Ooh.
So
no one even knew him.
No one
Wow.
no one knew him. He was living.
You can't do anything for 6 to 8 weeks. Like, what the fuck can you even do in that amount of time? You literally can't do anything in that amount of time. So this guy didn't even have really a chance to even prove himself, if anything. So this guy who literally was just like, I have to now represent status quo. And he had, like, no chance to actually do anything. So, like, this guy was just kind of fucked from the whole get-go. Damn.
He'd been a minister in Lula's cabinet, but, you know, kind of an obscure technocrat minister. And then he was a one-term mayor of São Paulo, which is Brazil's largest city, but still, it's one city. It's like being the mayor of Los Angeles. Was a mayor of Chicago, mayor of New York. You're not really well known at all. How well known is Bill de Blasio outside of New York? So, and the whole focus the whole time was on Bolsonaro.
Glenn, you're so like fuzzy.
You know, kind of like the whole focus was on Trump. So no one really formed an opinion on Haddad. I mean, in reality, he was like Lula and Dilma. He started off very radical in his early youth. He got a PhD actually in Marxist economics. But you know, in his middle age, he's become much more moderate. He's viewed as a moderate within the Workers' Party. He's a professor. He didn't come from poverty. So no, he wasn't, he was a kind of staid, uncharismatic figure. He's a decent, competent politician, a smart guy, but nothing that would touch or inspire the masses in any way. And even if he were able to do that, he had no time to do it. It was all just, do we want Bolsonaro? Do we want to break from everything we know and go with something radical? Or do we want to stay the same? That's the only question the population ended up answering. I thought was really a footnote to the entire election.
Now,
Anyone wants to make the white males gay. That's what most skeptic community said. Wow. That's how low they got. The skeptic community. Glenn Greenwald wants to make the white males the gays. The gays. The gays. Wow. Got anything else that... Do they have anything more creative than that? Like, come on. I wish they both couldn't keep their hands on the table where we can see them. I don't think his hands have been anywhere, sir.
Lula's successor, Dilma Rousseff, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know, years ago, I feel like I've seen you tweet a lot about her and cover her, and she was replaced, and you said that was questionable as well. And isn't it the case that the person who replaced her was even more corrupt than they were even accusing her of being?
Yeah, and this is why Brazilians don't trust politicians or political parties or the government. So in 2016, when Dilma was president, they impeached her based on this very obscure technicality that in a scheme of corruption thriving in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, was like ignoring mass murder and rape and obsessively, ticketing jaywalkers. I mean, that was literally the analogy that was appropriate. And so what ended up happening was the reason they removed Dilma is because she wasn't doing enough of the austerity, cutting pensions enough, cutting social programs enough. She was doing it some, but not as much as was wanted. And so they replaced her with her vice president. And unlike in the US, where the president and the vice president are of the same party, so if you impeach Donald Trump, you get Mike Pence. In Brazil, because there's 37 parties run, usually the president and the vice president are from different parties. So the person they replaced her with, Michel Temer, is kind of from the centrist party, and he formed a coalition with the center-right that imposed austerity, that cut programs that Dilma wasn't willing to cut, and just basically governed the way banks and the market wanted them to. During the time that he was in office, and remember, he's in office, no one knows who he is, he could never have gotten elected on his own, he only got elected as part of this coalition with Dilma. They said to the population, we're taking the person you voted for out of office because she's corrupt, and we're replacing her with somebody you don't know and never would have voted for, but who is at least not corrupt. 6 months into office, tapes were released, audio tapes, of him talking to somebody who, unbeknownst to him, was already under investigation, was cooperating as an informant in the corruption investigation, in which Michel Temer, the president of the country, sitting in his...
Okay, well, I don't want to start to drag on. So, we're going to move on to a little different thing here, Nia. I got some shit pulled up. I think we should pull on to something a little bit more humorous. Claims of white genocide. Oh, that hilarious thing. I remembered that. Brazil setting down dark road like many countries are. Yeah, man. But, hey, at least we can mock at some of them. So let's do that. Hold on, let me set it up real quick. What the fuck is all that? Get out of here. Okay, alright. Deep fish free. Stop. Step. Okay. Deep fish free. Oh shit, all of them are playing. I don't need all of them playing, I just need one of them playing. So I just kind of compiled a quick little collection. So let's just go through them, laugh at them, mock them, insult them, whatever we feel like we want to do to these people. So, oh God, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Here in Arizona, immigration is obviously at the top of many Trump supporters' minds, and Tucker Carlson had a very interesting segment about
the red.
how immigration, changing demographics are making the country more volatile.
In the year 2000, Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. Now, before you start calling anyone bigoted, consider and be honest, how would you feel if that happened in your neighborhood? This pace of change...
Okay, just to get on Tucker Carlson's point, I literally would not care. If, like, some Mexicans moved in and started moving in to my neighborhood, I'll be like, cool, some Mexicans moved in. What's up, Mexicans? I'll be like, hey, what's up? Like, I would be like, they're like a neighbor still. It's like, oh my god. I love this faux argument that they try to make that's just like, what if the demographics of your communities become different? What if your demographics? What if they become different? Different. Like what if like one group was like 2% there one time and then it grew up to be like 60% later down the road? Like okay. And fuck them, they got what they asked for. If you consider setting up a confetti cannons or something like that, the trigger word phrase from the chat. If I could, I would. Burn your country down to the ground to own the libs. Yep. Just gotta burn it all down to own them libs. Improve the neighborhood or not change a damn thing? Yeah, like... And the only way it gets worse is if the income of the families is lower incomed, and thus there's a higher chance of it becoming more impoverished, or just does become impoverished. So, like, but like, there's been people who've moved in and out of various homes around here, and literally the status of my community hasn't changed. And some of them are white and some of them are not. So it's just like, I'm just like, people move all the time. People like, what's the point? Like, what's your point, sir? Demographics change. It's like, okay. Talking about Brazil. Fuck illegals. I wasn't talking about illegals. I'm just talking about like demographic changes of communities and shit. Like what he was making, like if like there's a community that's like 2% Hispanics, and then he was saying like 16 years now it's majority Hispanic of Hazleton, whatever fucking town it was. And it's just like, okay. I mean, there could be a plethora of different factors. He didn't even. I'm pretty sure, he might have said them in his full segment. I have no idea. But it's just like, okay, there's so many different factors that could be taken into consideration to that. So it's just like, what's your point? Like demographic change over time in places is like not really a big deal to me. But yeah.
Makes societies volatile, really volatile, just as ours has become volatile.
I wanted to see what these Trump supporters thought about that. So Tucker Carlson had this segment that went viral where he said that the changing demographics with more and more Latina people coming into the country, it's causing more volatility in the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Build the wall.
I think if they
Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. I have a career, no need. Damn. Stefan got wrecked. Checkmate, Stefan. Checkmate.
Republican voters, they'd be stopped.
The Latinas at the border?
Yeah, I think, and I think 4,000 Latinas coming in less than a month before the midterm elections. It didn't just happen. It wasn't a grassroots overnight decision. I mean, it took some, it took some planning and somebody's behind it.
What would solve the whole thing in the border if they would just start shooting? Only shoot.
What the fuck? What?
Couple, and they would go home.
You think deterrence would work?
If
What the fuck? I learned. Okay. We know where he needs to go. He needs to just go into a home. He needs to just find himself a home where he can hang out with the rest of his like friends he probably had from since middle school, and he can just go away. Like, for fuck's sake, this is 2018. We don't just shoot people because they fucking like come over. Like, goddamn, it's called a process and judicial process. You fuck.
They would shoot.
God, just what the
I
fuck.
really feel like if
Oh, what a witty little shirt. Socialism sucks. What a cute little witty shirt. Probably is a bimbo.
the people from Mexico
I would hate fuck her though.
come here,
Okay, what the fuck? Please tell me he's just speaking for himself and not all Trump supporters. I am gonna say he's speaking for himself, so I am just gonna say he himself needs to go in a home and needs to be, and he's a fucking psychotic, senile old fuck. No offense, Jimmy. You're literally none of those. It's just this particular individual is. It's just like, no, wrong, fake news, go home. Like it's like you are like you kind of lost yourself. It's just like what the fuck, not like like at that point you're essentially shooting Hispanic Mexican citizens. So wouldn't that be technically an attack on Mexico? So does Mexico technically have the right to go to war with the U.S. if we did that? Like what the fuck? Like do they not realize domino effect that could have? These already heavily armed extreme right militiamen flocking around the border anticipating of the caravan. Oh god. You see, you want to know what the National Guard should do is detain fuckers like those. Is detain the right-wing militiamen and be like, hey, it's our job to defend the border, not you. You go fuck off. Like, that should be the National Guard's message. It's like, we're here to be in case shit goes awry, not you. You go home. Like, you know, like that's what the National Guard should be there for. But of course, they're just enforcing their presence and encouraging it, if anything, maybe. I have no idea what their policy is with these right-wing militias. I guarantee you they're probably just tagging along right with them. And but it's just a fuck that like it's getting that's going to be a really terrifying situation if like bullets start fucking flying near that border. Illegal workers, lower wages, and power private capital was good for the co-brothers, is bad for me and mine. Deranged open borders, people be damned. Yeah, like, I'm all for opening ways for citizenship. Not, like, you know, if, like, I'm not in favor of just, like, having undocumented, you know, just, like, let them go in. You know, I'm just in favor of, you know, right, you know, access towards the citizenship if you want to be a citizen here, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, but really from that point, let's see what some of these other people have to say. Because this is, the military will be kinder than the militiamen. Oh, I can guarantee you the military would be, because they actually have to go for a process. They actually have to have, like, a standard and some discipline. Like, they actually, you know, have a standard, and I actually would trust the National Guard more than some right-wing militia. I would. It's down to 3,000 now, probably end up with 400 by the time they hit the border with 5,000 troops to stop them. Yeah, like these people are expecting like some armada, like a legions upon legions of like people crossing this border when it's probably going to be like less than 1,000 people coming over there. Not pro-open border, crackdown on illegal immigration adversely hurts farmers and other low-wage fields that no one wants to work. Hit the booth. Hit the booth. I will not hit the booth. I will hit the booth. I will hit all the booths.
and emerge into the American culture, but they really, I see it, they want to make America part of Mexico.
What does that mean? Like, I don't know what that even means. They want to make America a part of Mexico. So the Mexican government is aiding these citizens to have a covert coup in the United States to where it becomes seceded, annexed into the state of Mexico. What? Bitch, you dumb.
And I'm opposed to that.
I would love the demographics to change if they came here illegally. It would be fine. I'd welcome them. Yeah, I'd welcome them. We have to keep track of everybody coming in here to avoid another 9/11. You can't just let people run across borders. So I'd welcome them. I'd love to help them. I'd love to hire them if they came here illegally.
9/11.
Okay, so that guy seems like he's the most open-minded out of all of these people. Lol, Mexico's too corrupted and disorganized. I know, which doesn't make sense! But anyway, but this guy actually seems like he's the most sensible out of every one of these people, so I can be like, alright, you know what, this guy, I feel like this guy, I could probably have a chat with him and be like, alright, well, maybe I can open you to the ideas of these different type of policies or whatever. Well, it's just because illegals will work them for pennies. Unprotected workers equal jobs aren't worth the time/pay. I mean, it's more like a part of it, that factor too that you guys are kind of delving in there is the gutting of unions and shit. Like if we were to expand on farmers unions and start expanding towards workers cooperatives within our farming industries, and also end industrialized farming and industrialized animal farming, and start encouraging more practices like that, then I'm sure, you know, like people would actually be encouraged to work those type of jobs. That's what I'm saying. Expanding skilled visa programs. When industries can't find Americans to do the work. I mean, yeah, like, I mean, there's definitely a lot of different factors as well. Citizens can unionize and raise the wages. Illegals break up unions. Well, I mean, with the whole unions thing, I mean, there was a lot of different factors as to why the unions were broken up. So, but I don't have but I'm not going to be able to have grab everything right away to, you know, delve into this. But you two are the ones who hype this up, so I'll just be making sure shit don't get too cray. How about that? It's because I have an unfair advantage in the conversation, so I'll leave you two to it. You two do the debates, and then then maybe I'll you know, eventually I'll have to set up maybe some debates. So if any of you have Skype or some shit, or even we can get a Discord thing set up, maybe we can host debates between between audience members. Because fuck it, just because why not? Why not? We'll stir drama amongst audience. Make sure they're paired fairly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I want to, you know, have branches towards citizenship, have different access towards citizenship, and so instead of these people becoming, you know, crossing over as illegals, they can go through a legal process, which in my idea would be far more reformed than our current process, because it's not we wouldn't really have this horrible illegal immigration problem with the many factors with the drug war and the factors we're talking about now too, even with wages and with lower wages and these broken unions that we kind of popped in there for a little bit there. I mean we're all kind of delving into different factors right now already. So I mean there's definitely a plethora of reasons, you know, towards it. You know, it's just trying to find solutions to it. The source of unskilled labor in the U.S. and people in Central America are desperate to get away from their corrupt and violent countries, allowing them to come here legally to do the jobs that... Part 2, coming up in that comment. The comment tirade. To come here legally. Hellzills, yezzles. Companies can't find citizens to do and make sure they are paid at least a minimum wage, preferably more. Federal minimum wage is too low. I would go and say the living wage of the county that you're in, because to me, or at least the I would go as far as the district that you're in, and because there's different for depending on where you live. The living minimum wage will be a little different depending on where you're at. For example, Portland's minimum living wage will probably be different than Wyoming's living minimum wage, and also probably in Eastern Oregon's living minimum wage or in Southern Oregon's living minimum wage. So I mean, it'll be a little different. So to provide like laws tied to the inflations of different states, counties, or districts to living wage to that, maybe will um, help alleviate with the wage crisis. Because I'm open to any like living wage policy solution, and that's just kind of mine to not have it branch too deep, but at least to the states. But I would at least go to like district by district and provide a path to maybe not citizenship, but at least permanent residency. Yeah, like if you were to be kind of not necessarily dual citizen, but also have like property interests, like visa essentially. Obviously, conduct background checks on the workers before letting them. Of course, yeah. But anyway, I'll see what Emma's gonna say to this feller right here, and I'll let you all continue your little things here, and I'll come back once there's been more fruitful things been discussed, and I'll offer my own point, I guess, because that's like I said, I'm not in y'all discussion. I'm just saying my own shit, like being like, yes, more. Just like I'm sitting here like more. I gain power with your anger to each other. Oh, bitch! I was meant to be like intense, motherfucker.
They were just Saudi Arabians coming not through immigration, but just
It's a whole bit. It's the whole policy that's the problem.
Knowing that I know sports Trump wants that division, I think that Tucker Carlson takes a really, edgy stance on things in order to, rile up a crowd generally, and people like to watch that.
White people don't produce enough children. If you look at the demographics, they have abortion and the blacks. So when you do that, you need population growth. You need roughly 1.6 or more in order for the economy to grow. And since we're not producing enough, or we are aborting them, so you have no other choice except to bring in new blood and young people, and the Europeans are not coming over, so what's left is what you see.
so a lot
Okay.
of these people are fleeing horrific political situations themselves and seeking asylum. You still think that we should shoot?
If they just shot at them a few times, they would go back.
The rule of law needs to supersede all these emotions. Yes, there's emotions. And,
Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Alright. Supposed to overthrow this corrupt government. It's not ruin our. Well, I'm gonna overthrow this government. Not very easy to overthrow a government that's barely in control to begin with. Heavily armed gangs with, weapons organized control swaps of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The opposite of what you said is those governments known as funded them. I mean, it's also. I mean, there are cases of the CIA, or at least evidence to support that CIA, and maybe even the DEA. I'm not 100% too sure on that part. Working, or at least maybe indirectly working with cartels and gangs within Latin America. So it's kind of like we're playing both sides of it, but we're definitely keeping the stability far more than actually. Yeah, well, that's true also, but points are not mutual. Yeah, essentially, like, I mean, we're doing that to keep that stability, to keep the keep the instability stable enough to where we can continue this type of crisis. So, I mean, both of you are essentially pointing out both sides of it: CIA, NSA, FBI, you name it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these different agencies have collaborated out, in with not only other foreign governments, but also worked in cahoots to overthrow some of them or help keep them unstable enough to cause geopolitical friction elsewhere. So, I mean, it's that. So, both of you are honestly making, fairly accurate points to the issue. But it's just about how we go about solving this type of shit. And part of it is not necessarily like reforming as in we open up, ways to citizenship, but just making it more clear how you become citizens, like a more detailed expansion on being more clear on our current citizenships, which I'm sure are already fairly detailed as is, but and also the process in some cases is really too long. Like it can go up to as long as up to about like 2 years or 4 years to 6 years, and to become a citizen, that's kind of an absurdly long amount of time just to go through a process. So to me, it shouldn't. To me, realistically, or at least in the pragmatic sense, it shouldn't take more than a year. In my head, at least, it does seem like it shouldn't take more than that. If there's something questionable, it might have to take longer to make sure. All right, are you really trustworthy? Like if like you had like misdemeanors or a record from your past in your previous country, then it's like, all right, can we actually trust you to not do this type of shit? Or depending how old or recent it is, I mean, just going on a case by case basis and shit. America wasn't funded by these banana fascists. The people would take their countries. Yeah, and going back to the point with Bolsonaro in Brazil, I'm really, really, really concerned that Brazil's gonna just become another banana republic again, where we're gonna see a lot of cooperation with Trump and Bolsonaro, doing a lot of trade collaborations. I could probably see that happening, but I'm not 100% too sure. I'm out. Alrighty. Cartels would take the countries. Well, they definitely have taken over Mexico really terribly, and so many different processes. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is definitely due to the U.S. interventionism, just exploiting and leeching off these fucking countries, and it's just terrible. It's just fucked. Then these naive motherfuckers just think, like, we should just shoot them, or whatever. Isn't even the worst. Oh, I bet. I bet there's, places out there that are worse in Latin America. But yeah, let's see about. Oh, it's muted.
The fact that a Washington Post and ABC News poll showed that just 3% of African Americans approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing, compared to around 36-40% of Americans. Let's see what they have to say about it. Right now, the latest poll shows that Trump's approval rating among African Americans is at 3%. Why do you think that is?
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news, the polling?
Sure, I mean, there's a lot of people here. I've seen African American people.
That's anecdotal evidence. It's not.
What is being played? Dude, what the fuck? I thought that was actually part of the thing. What's going on? Holy shit, what is going on? Mute! I don't know what's going on. What the fuck is going on? I am utterly confused now. What? What could be doing that? It's not that. Just cancel that. What was that? I'm confused. Oh, it was Netflix. Somehow Netflix got started. I don't know how. What? I'm cautiously optimistic that Mexico will get better, though. Their new president seems like he's willing to try new things. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not really too sure what's been going on in Mexico, so I shall withhold these judgments. Okay, so what was going on? What was he actually saying again? Oh, I muted. Oops.
African American people.
That's anecdotal evidence. It's not the totality.
I don't think that's real. I mean, they can say what they want. They also said Trump would have won the election. And he did.
But that polling was wrong around the margins. It was still correct on the national level.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I mean, that's just facts. Okay.
All right, next question.
Why is it not facts?
Did you say 3%?
3%.
I didn't want to talk to you. You're a joke.
You're a serious joke.
Yeah.
What? They just literally were like, nope, fuck facts. Nope. A poll that had 3% black support. Fake news. They know ain't them the facts. They ain't them facts. Fake news, boy. Fake news, you done be down there, the boy. Be down there, dog. It's like, God. Wow. Triggered little snowflake bitches. Triggered at polling data. Wow.
That's not right. Where did you get that?
It was an ABC News poll.
Oh, of course. 3%. It's more like 25.
The Clinton News Foundation is what
Wow.
that is.
That's-
I highly doubt it's at 3%. That just doesn't even sound right. It's like I could tell you more than 3% just here in Arizona.
3%? I'm looking at Fox all the time. It's like 35%.
It's close to the national average, so there's no way that's true.
I think that's a lot better than we think, and there's a lot of hidden folks that don't want to come out, and they're stereotyped in the African American community not to support Trump on purpose. They're making them so where they don't understand. It's the Dinesh D'Souza movie about the fact that the Democrat.
Oh my god. 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 He just did not. He just did not. He just did not. He just did not. He did not. He did not just. He did not. He did not just mention Dinesh D'Souza. He did not just mention Dinesh D'Souza. Oh my god, that guy is literally the biggest fucking idiot ever. Oh my god, you believe? Oh my god, 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 oh my god. You're a fucking idiot. 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 They support the dear leader no matter what. Of course they do. These are the Trump rally loyalists. Of course, all of them are.
Democrats are the ones that started slavery and continue that. Nothing.
Yeah, let's just not mention that the fucking political spectrum flipped with the Democrats and the Republicans after LBJ. After the Dixiecrats went Republican, you fucking idiot. Ugh. Do you not get that was a thing? That there was a political polarization shift? Oh my god. Oh.
Do with the Republicans, but they were able to push it off toward the Republicans. So that's part of the issue. It's just they don't like Trump. They're taught not to like Trump. They're taught not to like Republicans, but for no reason.
I have actually a lot of that.
Oh my god. 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 I can't. They just don't want to like Trump and the Republicans for no reasons. Oh my god. Let's just start with the Republicans starting from 2000 onward. Let's just state this. Bush said he was he protected us under his administration. 9/11 happened on his watch. The Republicans and him got us into the Iraq War, plus got the whole country bipartisan on the issue, which the whole war was illegal, killed minimum 200,000 civilians. And not only that, they have been trying to obstruct. They pushed the Democrats in 2008, or during when they could have pushed for at least a public option, which Obama initially was mandating. It didn't. Even Bernie was pushing for a universal health care plan in 2010-11, but that never got pushed. And then they went for a public option and then watered down to universal mandate, which is just a band-aid on a gangrous ruin that is our healthcare system. So it's just like, oh my god, like there's, and not only on top of that, but they're, but a lot of them pushing their staunch theocratic Christian evangelical beliefs. A lot of them pushing their anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ social issues. They're staunch, ridiculous, hyperbolic stance on immigration. Their their strong pro-war stances. Like, we could go on and on about them, but and plus just the corruption that the GOP is just flaunting itself in. With the NRA, with the big oil, with pharmaceutical industries, you just go down that list. That's a fat list. But like with Trump, oh my God, do we even need to get started with him? Do I want to go down that? Article claiming that Kate Brown is the most progressive governor in the country. Do you agree? I would have to. I can't really say because I don't know any other governors really that are progressive leaning. I would have to look at a few other ones and compare them, and just I don't know. I'm not really. I mean, I would say she is progressive, but I do think she could go further in a lot of her in a lot of different issues. But she did really great with the net neutrality bills, though, so I'm really glad for that. But I don't know. I'll have to do a little comparison. But we're back to this guy again.
Good American friends, they're going to be here tonight, so I don't know. I always hear this stuff, and I think it's just a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a difference between having African American friends than having like an aggregate of the entire country say they disapprove of him.
Right. Where did the aggregate come from? I like to question the poll, right? Like, where was the source?
The black vote has all African American votes always been Democrat, but they are leaving the Democratic Party because they're seeing what the Democrats have done to them.
What have they done?
Look at Detroit. It's a mess. Chicago's a mess. You have any town that has been run for Democrats for years.
The Democrats ruined metropolitan cities. Ruined big dim cities. They're getting destroyed by the Democrats. It's my birthday. Made me mod on my B-day, lol. Well, hey, there's your birthday present for you. You fucking became a mod out of nowhere. So, boom, bitch. Happy, I don't know how old you are, age, birthday. Jay Inslee or Andrew Cuomo, maybe. Nah, Andrew Cuomo, not really. In some issues, yeah, but not overall, no. What issues? Maybe anti-corruption? Oh, yeah, definitely anti-corruption. I would also say, I don't know every single issue on education that she has, but I would probably say she could probably go further with it. But I'll have to look. With issues like I feel like she can, like we also are. We have some measures in place to where we could vote on if we want to expand on public housing, and I'm just like, yep, we should do that. So I'm encouraged. So I'm encouraged with that. With public housing initiatives being pushed. She hasn't done anything with education as far as I know. Yeah, so I'm not... Yeah, so I think she could really push hard, especially considering that our budgets have kept getting cut, and we have to essentially keep increasing taxes to avoid getting these cuts, which isn't sustainable. Like, we actually are going to need to find some different solutions and maybe rebudget our state budget to increase it on education so we don't get these cuts and we can actually start expanding on them a little bit. Especially with these marijuana taxes that we've been having, we could definitely do something with that. Let's go down to the last little thing of Trumpies, which I also have muted.
I wanted to ask Trump supporters about the bombshell New York Times report, which showed that Trump received around.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Look at that! Oh God! If you could, look at that! Oh. God, that's just oh boy. Oh boy.
$413 million from his father, and that together they work to evade taxes by undervaluing their properties, amongst many other things. You guys should read the full report. I wanted to talk to supporters about it because a lot of
I like how they I love how these guys over here were covertly like, let's position ourselves so we can get ourselves on the camera, and then they just like turned themselves away and just like and just like kept talking to this weird dude with the beard. It's just like, oh my god, wow, covertly trying to sneak yourselves on camera.
say they back Trump because he is a self-made businessman. We'll see what they think about the report. So there was this big report that said that Trump actually inherited around $413 million from his father. He has said he only got a small loan of $1 million. What do you think of that?
The money Hillary and Bill have, you know, they never reported.
Well, they're not president.
False equivalence. Why, like we're not talking about them.
You know, anymore.
You'd have never heard of them. She would have made it.
Hey, I think Hillary Clinton has gotten a ton of money from shady sources, but I'm asking you, right? Because a lot of supporters.
In the past, it's what is going now that counts.
Who cares? Turning 16 million into 16 billion is, you know, he's still.
You think he has 60 billion?
Check it out somewhere. Look overseas, the whole works. Yeah, but the whole point is.
What?
That's the strength of America.
What did that even mean? Oh my god, you're not even wearing your hat right. Oh my god, this guy has but oh god. Oh my god. It's too much. Oh god, no, look at that. No. There's visible boob. There's like literally visible boob. I think this is a man.
My dad left me that kind of money.
This is a man! And there's visible boob. Literal boob. Those are like some B cups, bitch. Those are some B cups with some heavy beer belly. God damn. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. I need to skip. I need to actually skip. God. Oh god. You were with him for a while. Oh god. Oh god. Is it a man? Yeah. I don't know. Getting into the soy again. Yeah. Getting into the soy.
I like what he's doing for America.
So a lot of people who voted for him said they liked that he was a self-made billionaire. It seems that he's not self-made.
It doesn't matter how much money he has. It's about the man, the size of his heart, and what he's doing for America.
So feelings, cliche and platitudes. She just did cliches and platitudes, what Hillary was known for. Good job.
100 million, he's made it into $8 or $10 billion. So be it.
So I don't know, we haven't gotten his taxes yet, so I don't know how we can say what his actual figure of his net worth is.
Not important to me.
You know, but I actually don't care what the New York Post says.
New York Times,
New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, because they're all fake. The only channel I watch is Fox, and it's on 24/7.
Wow. You just hit that like you thought it was a banger? Wow. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this again? Oh, my God. Pain. Pain. Pain.
CNN and MSNBC are on 24/7 too.
But I don't watch them. No. I don't even have my dogs watching Fox.
So you don't buy, you know, he said he's a self-made billionaire. Would you say getting $400 million makes you self-made?
No, not really, but, you know.
Come on, say,
that's
bitch.
the only politician out there that has things in their trunk, you know.
Name one politician that doesn't do shady things. Second, that happened before he was president, so I really don't care. And third, name a millionaire that doesn't do something with their taxes.
So he kind of demonstrated or purported to be a self-made billionaire during the election, do you think getting a loan of $413 million or getting $413 million makes you self-made?
At a roundabout way, yes it does. Because I can get $400 million, go buy an airplane, blow it in one day, and be broke.
The same report said that if he had just put it in an index fund, he would have more money than he does today.
Well, what good that would have done for the economy? He's had jobs, he's built things, putting it in something.
Yeah, then he scammed them later because he's a fucking con man, you dumb shit. Oh my god, wow, what a bloviated fat fuck. Latest poll as Williams and Gianforte tied. Yeah, I know Gianforte laid down in Porter because he likes to incite violence on journalists. The extreme right third-party candidate might be able to sway enough votes away from Gianforte for Williams to win. Hell yeah, dude.
They're fun to sit there. What's that do to grow?
Yeah, that's all propaganda aimed at smearing him because you can't handle the truth. Yeah.
What's the
But what doesn't have what? You can't handle the truth. Where's your neck? Where is your neck? Oh my god. I one more and I can't handle this.
The truth is, he worked hard, and that's how he became wealthy. And
with what?
He used the laws in place by our government.
Oh my god. More. Oh my god. I can't even.
Which everybody voted for. So. That's the truth. You can take your mic and go elsewhere with that, please.
I haven't read any of those reports, but if he got money from his father, God love him. Somebody's got to get ahead in this world, and why not him?
Oh my god, wow. That's just so dumb. That's just so dumb. That's so fucking dumb. What happened to the pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Do your own work. Personal responsibility. Oh, well, his father gave him a bunch of money. Well, someone has to do it. You gotta give him a head start. Yeah. Bimbo. Bimbo bitch. I broke it. God damn it.
That means that he wasn't technically a self-made billionaire, right? Because he got almost $500 million from his father.
Who is?
He ran on being a self-made billionaire.
Well, yeah, but everybody gets their money certain ways, and if he's not out there not working, he worked. So if he got a little head start, God love him.
I'm sure Hillary got her money somehow. I'm sure she didn't work really hard for it.
Oh my god, what's with them all pulling the Hillary card? No one gives a fuck about her anymore. No one. Like, I'm like legit sick of this fucking Hillary, she go away. No one cares about Hillary. Y'all are like these right wingers like to mention Hillary more than fucking anyone on the left does. It's like, they're so dumb and don't even realize their own hypocrisy sometimes.
I look at Trump for what he's been doing, and it seems to be working. He's a good businessman.
Oh my god, my dad makes the same argument. It's so fucking dumb because he's not. He went bankrupt 7 times. He couldn't even make money off a casino. Casinos are made to make money, bitch. And you couldn't even make money off a casino. You made money off a casino.
Activation, I mean.
So you've been bankrupt like 6 times. I don't know if a good businessman would do that.
He's talked about it a little bit. Jim Kelly, one of my favorite Buffalo Bills players of all time, went bankrupt because he got into Endeavor and didn't went right. It didn't go right.
Did he go bankrupt 6 times?
I don't know about 6 times, but even once. It's in our system. The laws are there. If the laws weren't there, they couldn't do this.
Never labored a day in his life, literally. Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate, I would have to say. Tremendous. I can't. I just can't anymore. I can't. I'm broke. It broke me. It broke me. I am broken. I am so broken. God, that was just terrible to just deal with. Raw boomerism. He said he didn't pay contractors yet. That's how he makes money. Yeah, he just declares bankruptcy. Like, they don't even realize like how he actually legit makes. It's so dumb. It's dumb. I just can't comprehend it right now. I just soaked so much at once that I just can't right now. Like, oh my god. If I like did that like little bits at a time, I could like go down a little bit point. But it was just like, oh no, there's no way. There's just no way. There's just no way I could do that. Like, oh god. Ugh. Ugh. He's got a lot of buddies in Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, he does. He opened up like 7 companies or 11 companies or something like that, or 8 companies in Saudi Arabia, which is why he's defending them now with this whole Khashoggi thing, with him being killed and assassinated. The world is fucked up. Can we just do one thing? Bring on all the nukes. Bring on the nukes. Bring on the nukes. Bring on the nukes. Bring on the nukes. We gotta bring on the nukes. Bring on the nukes. Gotta bring on all the nukes. Bring on all the nukes. Yes, we will bring all the nukes. Ba-da-da-dum. They're renting a lot of space at Trump Tower also. And they're also not even going there either. Some of them are just there just to be there. Funding their genocide in Yemen as well. With our weapons as well. The U.S. weapons funded by taxpayers. So our money's blood money. Alright! Fucking awesome! Not. Just not. It's just fucking fake news. Fake fucking news. Oh shit. South Park got a little snippy bit. Oh, it's Mr. Mackey. Oh shit.
Get out of that way! Look, I got nothing left, all right? What did you give me some of those hat shoes? Those are already accounted for by folks who called in. Let me have the whatchamacallits.
Whatchamacallits, like
my own house. Look, you've got to give me some more f***ing candy. Nothing left here. You gotta go somewhere else.
Oh god. Oh, what happened? Whoa. Damn. Wow. I wonder if that's a little jab at the legalization in Canada that happened. Because, damn, that looked intense. Oi, oi, oi. Oh my god, why am I recommended a fucking wedding? It's not even TJ's wedding, so I'm not even interested. Die. Die! Go away! Why is the NATO welcoming me to Norway? Why is NATO having me do this? No. Begone, NATO. How dareth thee, NATO? How dareth thee? Doff don't want to... Am I actually subscribed to NATO? Oh my god, why am I'm subscribed to NATO? Fighting the goal. Like, there's because... I know what they're doing in Norway. They're doing some, like, one of their biggest fucking military exercises yet in Norway right now. It's just like, oh, well, that doesn't enforce the idea that there's going to be more militarization with the with Russia and all that shit. That's just gonna be great. But I think that's why, because it gets me an idea of what they're fucking doing. Now I could be like, yeah, you're probably doing it for this fucking reason. Traveling to Norway next. I could probably. Hopefully I will. NATO, North Atlantic Terrorist Organization. Damn. Wrecked. Fucking wrecked. But I do want to visit Norway at some point. I think I'll do, next time I go to Iceland, I think I'll do that. Also go to Norway as well. And then, I know I want to go to mainland Europe at some point, so I think I'll eventually try to do that. But I think my next country to visit will be Canada, because it's only a train ride away from me. So if it's a train ride away from me, then it should be pretty easy for me to do it. It would just be like 7-hour train ride, same time it takes for me to get to Iceland, or vice versa from where I'm at. So it's just like, hey, let's do it. Let's get it on. Because, I mean, it would be really cool to check out a lot of the Pacific Northwest countryside through train. And I've never ridden through train before, so that'd be cool. And go for Canada as well, eh? Go for Canada. Oh, Canada, the land of the free. That is actually probably more true than what we like to believe. Gonna smoke this weed. Ba-doo-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-da-bum. Skip it back. Noise. Oh god, what's this? Bill Maher. PC police ruined Halloween. Oh shit. Alright, well. I have been implored to check you out now. I have been employed.
So Bill Maher went after the outrage over Halloween costumes on his HBO show last week. This is normally where I would show you a clip of that, but there's been a giant uptick on YouTube of copyright trolling recently. So instead, I'll have to read you a chunk of what he said. So listen to this. He said, Now I personally don't care if you go trick-or-treating dressed as 0.01% of Elizabeth Warren, but the Office of Scolding Justice Warriors has decreed no hula girls, no Indian chiefs, no Southern belles, no Daniel Boone, no geishas, ninjas, gypsies, mobsters, terrorists, no Cleopatra, pirates offend one-eyed people. You can't dress as a hobo because it makes light of the homeless. You can't dress as Quasimodo because it offends hunchbacks. You can't dress as an escaped mental patient because it offends Kanye. Not everything that merely alludes to another culture is racist or cultural appropriation. Halloween was always fun because it wasn't PC. Not being PC was almost the whole point of the holiday. But now everything has to be turned into a federal case of snowflakes versus humor. So then he goes on to list a bunch of stats, including how 80% of Americans in a recent poll believe that political correctness is a problem. And
I can
even
agree
an
to that.
overwhelming majority of minority groups agree that political correctness is a problem. And he says,
Singing
quote,
or filters.
The majority of America is with the Democrats on the issues. They just find the woke people irritating as hell. Nobody likes you, including the so-called marginalized groups whose feelings you decide need protecting. When did liberals become the fun police? Does anybody remember when conservatives were the ones with sticks up their asses? We went from yes, we can to oh, no, you didn't. Okay, so that's just, I just gave you like a little chunk of what he said.
I was hoping to be a little more. But, interesting. Because I kind of agree with that consensus, but I don't really care that he's saying it. because it's just like, on one hand, y'all are like bitching about Halloween, but like, it's pretty much like them. It's just like claiming a holiday now to like bitch about, because like the conservative right always love to bitch about Christmas and shit, and and how there's like a war on Christmas. So I mean, now they're trying to like essentially just kind of stir up this like war on Halloween. But it's just like, oh my god. Ugh. But anyway, whatever. I just find it all bullshit. Just, it's a costume. It's Halloween. Like, it's not inherently racist or politically offensive or whatever the fuck. It's just like, hey, dressing like this because I can. It's Halloween. So why not? Ugh. Dios mío. Can't please everyone. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I ain't out to try to do that. That's for damn sure. There's no way you can. It's just like possible. It's just fucking possible. So don't even try that. Oh, I also remember there's like some sober October thing going on. I'm just like, lol. I obviously ain't participating in that. I've tried. Yeah, there definitely really isn't, a way to do that. So you just gotta have to just please yourself, essentially, at that point. Just do what makes you happy. What's this? Aluminum or mercury? What the fuck? I don't even know what that is. I'm not even gonna attempt. I shall not attempt. My god, there's so much just like nothing that's just being recommended to me at all that is like legit pissing me off. Like I'm like, I mean, YouTube, you're just like ever so slowly just dying. Just ever so slow. Oh my god, the full album, Belson. All right, well, okay, you gave me one thing to like. You gave. Oh, I love that. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. I like that. I'll probably be listening to this now. Oh, getting his voting ads. Same here, dude. It's getting intense. It's just like, holy shit, can we like chill for a sec? It always is intense. I mean, every year, but it's just like, wow. It got real tense this year. It's just like, we need to like chill. It's just like we need to chill for a sec. But, guess not. Whatever. Oh well. Anyway, I think I'll destroy this bowl here. And then Mises will wrap it up. And I think later tonight I'm going to do just a quick little thing of that tuna fish sandwich thing I had in mind. Nothing too major. Just, something simple. I might actually do that tomorrow. Or Thursday, actually, considering the time now that I just realized what time it is. It's almost 8 for me. Damn. Yeah, so I think I'm going to postpone that till tomorrow, but at least I got the major Q&A thing out of the way, so I'm going to make sure that still gets all harnessed down and all out of the way and all that shit. But anyway, so let me just kill this. And yeah, man. But hey, I'll probably have one more, like, I'm smoking one last time. What's up, everybody? Oh, it's Mr. Food ones. That's why I'm going to postpone it. I think it'll be just better to do that. Because it's getting kind of late in the evening, and I'm probably going to want to just do that now. And, yeah, just do that instead. All right. Well, I got some food to make. So, I'll definitely save the other flatbread to make the other tuna fish sandwich with to share with all of y'all. But I'm definitely going to make one for myself, though, right now. So, I'll see y'all in the next one. And hopefully I won't get a lot of interruptions like I did the first hour of the stream. So, that should all be good. But anyway, see y'all soon.